And now it's time for Photo Booth Live Chat with John Young.
Thanks for having me on the show. I was really excited about this topic because it's something that I really did roll up my sleeves and had a lot of experience with. I just didn't wake up one morning and had a photo booth business. It was gradual, but psyched to be here.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. You do some podcasting also, so.
Yeah, we do. I toy with a lot of little things lately. Podcast, bubble parties. We're running we're changing a lot of stuff at RPE. We're doing a lot of different things, but Photo Booth has really come into its own with us. So I'm pretty excited to talk about it.
So you've got a variety of different types of businesses and things, and you've got, of course, some in the wedding industry. What made you look at the Photo Booth as a potential profitable business?
I saw how much impact it was having with my competition. And I saw how many people in my market were actually asking for it. That was really the first big step. Was I saw this trend come into the marketplace, and I've always wanted to keep RPE as somebody who, an organization rather, that keeps up with the times and the trends, and we're the ones that always add something new and exciting and something fun to your event. So when I saw that Photo Booth was really beginning to take off, I had my eye on it for a while, but it actually took me a little bit to actually buy the booth.
Now, what from that time?
Well, the story goes like this. I had a business partner back then, and we're just going to be a DJ company, Rob. We're going to do DJ and bubble parties and do the nightclubs and all this stuff, and that's it. Okay. And that worked for a little while. But I began to see that a lot of this photo booth thing was something that looked like it was going to stay for a while. So I actually made some friends with a couple of colleagues in my market and actually had them white label for me. So we actually offered photo booth without owning a booth for a little bit. And what was nice about that was it was a phone call and a contract, and we were able to fulfill the need for the customer and have them come to us for it. Great that I was subcontracting that at that time, but it worked really well for us. And then it got to the point where, let's be honest, I was saying it's not about the difference between men and boys, their choice. And I really wanted one. And we were fighting. My business partner and I at the time were fighting at least once a week about buying a photo booth because he was dead set against it, and we couldn't make a decision unless we were both unanimous. That was like the rule of how we ran the business. So I think I beat him into submission verbally and got him to the point where he actually said to me, listen, I know what's on the books right now. If you can book 15 in the next 30 days, I'll let you go buy one. And I did. Actually, it took me 2 weeks. We used to have a Monday meeting. We used to work Monday morning and take Monday afternoon off. And that usually started with a lunch at a local restaurant in our area where, let's be honest, we weren't just there to eat lunch. There was some side dishes involved because it was a Friday. So the first week I beat him into submission. I got him to agree to, okay, we can spend the money. The next week we sat at the bar. We ordered food. We didn't talk about food, but in the meantime, I already booked 7 or 8 shows in a week. Just by calling all the clients that were, we get a photo booth, we put together a really good package, and it was going to work for us. The week after, I sat down and I said, grab the checkbook. I said, grab the checkbook. I sold what you want me to sell. I'm going to my photo booth. And he didn't believe me at first. And I actually brought my briefcase with all the signed contracts and all the deposits paid. He had no idea whatsoever. And he thought I was crazy still. He still didn't want me to do it, but he wanted to be a man of his word. So that's how I really kind of got into it, was just meeting a need and something out. And I actually just beat my business partner into submission. We're not business partners anymore. I don't own business completely. But it was a really cool thing because I've always been taught if you're going to add something, try to sell it first. Mm-hmm. That way there, if it doesn't work out, find somebody in your market that can help you out with it, right, just to fill the needs you have. And then you can walk away and it's really, you haven't wasted a lot of money. And it worked in this case.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that we've talked about when we've done some of these business, how to get started in a business or how to add something to the company, and that selling in advance can work so well. Not all the time.
No, definitely not all the time. I learned that lesson, believe it or not, with upletting. It was something that worked for a little bit. Excuse me. We made the investment, and we actually now are seeing that downturn.
Sure.
As opposed to photo booth. I mean, photo booth is still standing strong. And I don't know if you saw this article in Brides Magazine that just came out 2 weeks ago. They did a survey with the top 20 event planners from around the country about trends to keep, what trends were upcoming, and the ones to ditch. And somebody actually had the nerve to say, ditch the photo booth. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at my books going, no, I ain't ditching the photo booth. I'm making money with the photo booth. And I think the brides are still into it. But it was one of those things that if you read her comments, and it's about halfway into the article, if you read her comments, you can tell that this particular event planner does not like photo booths. Maybe she had a bad picture taken once. Maybe she doesn't like her registry of motor vehicles photo or something, but you can tell just by the way she says ditch the photo booth and the comments that follow that she's not into that whole thing.
Exactly. And that's a lot of those articles are like that, where you've got a person who's got an axe to grind and whatever it was, they had a bad experience. In 3rd grade, somebody came over and stepped on their toe, and now they absolutely hate whatever it is in life. That happens.
Exactly.
Rob, they're saying that your audio has been distorting just a little bit and kind of dropping out.
Let me do this real quick. I might be a little hot on my end here. So let me bring that down a little bit. Is that a little bit better?
I don't know. I can adjust.
Oh, it's the comments from the peanut gallery.
Yes. From the folks who are out there watching tonight.
All right, what we'll do? We'll do this. We'll bend that back a little bit. We'll turn that down. I probably coming in a little hot because I'm using some new technology on my end. So.
Okay. So maybe that's what it is. Because I'm hearing a little anomalies in it, but it's coming through yet. But I'm wondering if it's somehow the software here is picking it up and making it even sound worse than what it was. And I've been watching and it hasn't been clipping. So I don't know. Oh.
Yeah, I'll bring it down a little bit. It could also be the bandwidth, as we talked before we went on. We are getting an ice storm up in the area, and it's impacting certain things around here. I know part of the town I'm in is out of power right now.
Jeez.
Due to a lot of car accidents. But
yeah, people sliding through.
It's. I'll tell you though, John, I never expected to buy my second one. Jumping back into our photo booth conversation here, I had bought an Atlanta photo booth. Keith Allen, my good friend, had found somebody who was selling an Atlanta photo booth, and I called the guy up. He was in Columbus, and I called him up, and he said, "Yep, I'm getting rid of it." And this was when those booths were still in demand and popular. And I'm like, "Why in the world are you getting out of this?" He says, "My wife said I can either go buy my cherry red Corvette, or I can continue to keep my photo booth business. It's my choice." So and we made an offer. 48 hours after I made the offer, it was a Thursday morning. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I jumped into a rental van. I met this guy in Pennsylvania to pick up the photo booth, picked it up, brought it back, cleaned it all up. It was in really good shape. But obviously, I went through everything and made sure everything worked. And he gave me everything for a steal, which ironically represented the last money he needed to go buy that cherry red Corvette.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool.
It's a win-win, yeah.
So the next thing you know, now I'm in the photo booth business, and it took off with us mostly because we're offering it with DJ. It was very rare in the beginning for us to actually be doing photo booth alone without a DJ or without some other service that we offered. We're seeing that translate now that's happening a whole heck of a lot more because we actually brand it separately from all of our other brands, and it's working.
That's kind of interesting because that's as I've talked to some people, they have a business and then the photo booth, and in a given time that the photo booth becomes this entity all by itself, to the point where I know some entertainers who have gotten out of the entertainment business completely and have just strictly gone.
I've seen some of that too. The way I equate it, I used to work, to give you some history, and we've talked about this. My history before I became a DJ was in banking. Prior to that, it was in radio. But growing up, my dad owned gas stations, and my dad worked had a mobile gas station that was the one that got a lot of the new stuff you see now. Like, it was one of the first gas stations to have a convenience store inside. And I managed it. And the way I built RPE and all of our brands is similar to Coca-Cola. If you've ever worked behind the scenes or in retail with Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola pulls up, the big red truck pulls right up to the front door.
Yep.
But you've got Sprite, you've got root beer, you've got the Fanta products. Whatever your Coca-Cola bottler has on the truck is what's coming in. But you're not writing a check to Dr. Pepper or Sprite. You're writing the check to your Coca-Cola bottler. So it was kind of the same thing when it came to the specialty stuff we offered. It started with the Bubble Parties thing. The Bubble Parties thing had its own brand when I took it over, and it just spiraled. And now we're finding that all the specialty stuff we do has its own brand, and it's working for us. And it's great because I'm seeing now that my photo booth is going out a lot more on its own to an event where we're not DJing at. And it's kind of refreshing to be able to send two people out and be sitting at home on a Friday night and enjoying some quality time with my fiance, as opposed to actually having to go out and run it. So
Sure.
It's been a pretty cool translation for us.
So you mentioned, of course, that your very first, and you purchased the second unit then?
I sold my Atlanta booth.
Okay.
And I bought an open air. I couldn't even tell you the brand. One of my DJs who does some subcontract work for me had one, and I'm like, it's pretty cool. It was a nice little kiosk. And he found me one, and I had sold my Atlanta photo booth. And it was just one of those things that every time the Atlanta booth went out, I had to either rent a trailer or rent a truck.
Yes, some of the early ones were very big.
That was eating into my bottom line. So now I went open air, which was really cool. And open air opened up a whole bunch of possibilities. And this past year, I actually added a roamer to our lineup. So now we have open air and roamer going out, not only individually, but I have a couple of cases where I've had people actually say to me, listen, we're having a 6-hour wedding. We want the roamer for 3 hours, once during cocktail and 2 hours after dinner, but we want the big open air experience as well. Put a package together for us.
Sure.
So it's been pretty cool.
So for the people who aren't familiar with the roamer, kind of explain what that is, please.
It's a portable photo booth probably about 18 inches in diameter. It's an iPad photo booth. It's got the ring around it, and you load your software into it, and you walk around basically because it all runs on battery. And it's a portable photo booth that you can go around the room and take selfies with. And the photos are either text messaged or emailed to the people in the picture.
How has that been received at parties and such that you guys are doing? Are people a little don't point that at me, or do people really get into it?
In the beginning, people were a little skeptical because they had never seen it before.
Hmm.
One of the big tips I did, and I'm kind of psyched we're doing it next week, is I bring it to any big Chamber of Commerce event that we're doing.
Okay.
And I tell the chamber, listen, we're going to do a nice strip in there. We're going to walk around with it. We just want to show this off. You don't need to make us a sponsor or anything like that. We just want to do this to get some goodwill out. Are you okay with it? I've never had a chamber say no. So it was pretty cool. And we walk around and we show this off. And people think it's pretty cool because the selling point on our end is if you look at a booth or you look at open air, and there's nothing wrong with either one, but it takes up space.
Yeah.
You're talking about 10 square feet of space when you factor out the booth and the table and the props and the printer. And if you're doing social in addition to that, you might need the kiosk space. With the Roamer, if you're in a room where there's no room for a photo booth, it's the perfect solution.
Right.
And you can do a lot with it once you understand things like what Curator does. I had a hard time. Dave Parks from Connecticut actually helped me out in learning Curator, which was really cool because I didn't know exactly what it could do until I sat with him for an hour and he showed me all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, this is pretty neat. And it's worked well for us. The Roamer now is beginning to gain popularity because I am working a lot of venues around here, try to pack people to the gills.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to be able to call up and say, hey, look, we need 10 square feet for a photo booth, it sometimes gets met with a little issue. So in our sales process, when we're talking about their event and their booth, we ask them, how many people are going to be in the room? We know the majority of the rooms in our area that people are going to, so we can tell them, okay, look, you might not want the open air booth, and this is why. Why don't you go with the Roamer?
Mm-hmm.
So it's worked well for us.
So the chamber idea, I like that, a way to get that word out and such. You do a lot of speaking and presenting on sales and marketing and different things. What other kind of tips, ideas could you give for someone who wants to get the name or get the word of their photo booth out into the local area for additional business?
Obviously, the chamber thing is huge. I also recommend become a sponsor for a fundraiser. Find a organization that's doing a fundraiser and donate it. You can write off the cost of, I'll make sure I have this right here. Check with your accountant. Let me put the disclaimer in.
Yeah.
You can write off the cost of the media. And if you have any expenses incurred with actually operating the photo booth beyond your pay for your tech,
Yep.
you can write that off. But on the photo strip, you put the name of the event and you put your logo or your website down the bottom. Now, everybody who walks out of that room or out of that booth with a photo strip, it's like handing out a business card
Very
with
much
their
so.
picture on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. That one works really, really well. I find that the suggestive sell is still very popular, though. Talk to your clients and find out, are you considering this? If not, why not? Sometimes you get people who are like, we just never thought about it before. The big one, we didn't know you had it.
Oh, sure.
So if you don't tell them about it, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big stuff. I find, though, that once people know you have it, it pretty much, if you got a good description on your website and you've got a way to show people what they're going to get, it sells itself. The other thing that I think does help is what you're offering. Meaning, what's the package look like?
Mm-hmm.
Are you charging for 3 hours and you're bumping them on props and a tech and unlimited prints and we're going to do a custom backdrop? Or are you offering them something all in one that is, okay, you're booking your wedding with us and this is our photo booth package and it includes 4 hours of coverage, the guest book, 2 attendants, all the fun props. Are you giving them a gallery so the guests can go on and actually download digitally the pictures for free? What are you offering them as a package that's going to set you apart from what everybody else is doing? And that involves a lot of research. When I got into this, I probably shopped, and the people in Greater Boston wouldn't know that I shopped them because I just did a lot of research online, but I shopped probably about 20 different competitors that offered photo booth, not for their price, but to find out how they were doing it because I didn't want to do it the same way they did.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked really well for us because I was able to discover, first of all, a good price point for us.
Sure.
And I discovered that there were very few that were offering everything's included and there's no bumps, no surcharges. And we decided to go that route, and it worked well for us. It served us really well.
So when you have those situations where someone's like, okay, I want the this, but we really don't want props. Can we reduce the price because I don't want props? How do you handle situations like that then if you're doing it all and everything?
I find, well, first of all, it's rare, and again, maybe it's me. It's rare that somebody has said to me, "Hold the props."
Yeah.
But
I
actually tell them I'll work with my customers, and I think that's an undiscovered art in today's world. It's something that you and I, John, are probably familiar with because we've been in the industry for a long time.
Yep.
If you're not going to work with your customers, you're not going to win.
Yeah, for sure.
And the markets are getting saturated. And that's the other thing. If your market is saturated, you've got to do this research and find out. But to answer your question, I would be okay with saying to my customer, listen, it's really not a big deal whether you do or don't have them. It doesn't really make much of a difference. But you know what? If it's one less thing my guys have to put in the truck and I'm not going to risk losing 2 or 3 signs, yeah, I'll knock $50 off the price. But I'm not going to go crazy and knock off hundreds.
Right.
I'm going to give them a little bit of a break because that's not really what's going to make impact in the experience of having the photo booth.
So the different pieces that you've included into your photo booth. Let's stay with the kind of that props area because there's, as you say, there's times where there's a risk to your props. You're going to lose some breaks and what have you. What are you figuring in to a photo booth sale for those potentially perishable or those items that might
lost props?
Lost props.
Probably about $50.
Okay.
My staff is trained really well to let them have fun with the props, but at the same time, keep an eye on where they went. The signs seem to be the most expensive things.
Okay.
You can go on, and there are numerous suppliers for the hats and the glasses and all that stuff. If you're not allotting a little bit of risk for those breaking or disappearing or just going wherever, you've got to. So I would say $50 is usually, I lose maybe 2 signs a year.
Okay. So it's
because somebody drops it or somebody goes, oh, I'm going to take this home. My signs tend to come right back because my staff at the end, when they're handing them the strip, they're taking back the sign.
Yeah, it's like, here you go, and I'll take that. Thank you.
And I am okay with, because they're the more expensive piece, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to wear the cowboy hat onto the dance floor because they're going to go out and have a good time, I tell my staff, go ahead. Honestly, it's a $4 hat. I'd rather let them have fun with it, but get my signs back. I really am adamant on the signs.
Yeah.
We don't use BOAs. That's the other thing when it comes to accounting for that. One of the big things in the beginning, and I'm eager to go to PBX this year because I missed last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eager to go back because I heard now that there's companies out there that have BOAs that don't shed.
Yes, that's a
big. I'm kind of eager to see before I make that investment. But up until now, we've had a no BOA policy because I had it on one event. And I'll never forget at the end of the show, there's feathers everywhere. Luckily, and talk about a twist of fate, in the trailer, I had decided to throw my portable lawn and leaf blower because I was bringing it home, no kidding, to actually do some stuff around the yard.
Yeah.
So I actually had it with me, and I actually blew all the feathers into a corner and threw them away. I was out of there in 5 minutes, but I didn't want to have my staff go through that because as it is with my staff, they get paid hourly.
Mm-hmm.
They get paid for their time transporting too. But I don't feel that their job, unless it's something purposeful, like for example, if I did decide to keep the BOAs, yeah, it would be part of their job. But at the end of the night, I want them to be able to get out of there and go home. It's kind of like when I'm done with a wedding, I want to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to have to, clean up. It's why we don't do confetti for our DJ events.
Dave mentions that he's got the no shed ones and loves them. Moy mentions that they are at Hobby Lobby, carries them also. Dave mentions he's got 10 colors of them. So yeah, those are definitely going to be, and I remember them last year. Dave asked about online galleries. Do you use online galleries with your photo booth experience?
I do with my open air.
Okay.
With Curator actually makes a gallery where once they get the message on their phone or their email, there's a way for them to go see all the other pictures online.
Mm-hmm.
But for my open air, I actually use the service. I use Zenfolio, which is a photographer's gallery. It's basically an online cloud where you can upload the pictures. And I don't go crazy with things like an online store. I'm not really looking to get rich off of a coffee mug with somebody's picture on it from an event. I just want to give them the experience of being able to go on and check out the pictures and check out how much fun we had in the photo booth.
Right.
And what's nice is it does yield a couple of sales a year. So
Nice.
I don't want to say I'm not looking to get rich, but at the same time, I use that a lot because it's something that not all of my competitors are doing. I have one competitor he puts them all up on his company's Facebook page. And that's cool. But
yeah.
And again, I go back to my days when I had my Atlanta photo booth and it was an enclosed booth. There are some pictures that, quite honestly, I wouldn't want people looking at my Facebook page and seeing.
Yeah. Yep. There's some that get a little bit edgy.
Nowadays, I guess with an open air booth, you don't get a lot of that anymore. The most you maybe get is the stray middle finger here and there.
Yeah.
But we let those go because depending on the client, but we let those go just because of the fact that people are just having fun.
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool. But yeah, I use an online gallery and I like it because I like to be able to tell my clients, listen, you got a photo strip, but you know what? If you decide you want to do something with this picture, let's say it's 12 of the girls in the wedding party and you all went to college together and you want to send a copy of that picture to the college for the newsletter, they're not going to want you to scan it and crop it and send it to them. They're going to want it digitally. So why not make it easy for people to do that?
And there you go. So looking ahead, you mentioned, of course, wanting to get the non-shedding boas. What kind of other things are on your radar for maybe expanding or changing or tweaking your photo booth businesses here as you move forward?
My big thing, John, truthfully, is looking at my numbers. Last year, I added the roamer because I was probably turning away 1 out of every 10 inquiries that came in. Let me rephrase that. I was finding that I was having an issue every 10 events with a double booking.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So basically it would go through a cycle, and what would happen is 1 out of every 10 dates, we would have a double booking. I want to get that roamer working a little bit more, first of all. That's my big thing. I really do like the new pillowcase slide-on backdrops that are out there. We bought a couple already, but I want to expand that a little bit more. For me, I want to get it so that this is making me more revenue.
Sure.
So that I can focus on the other stuff I need to focus on. The really cool thing about what we do, and my photo booth brand is Funny Face Photo Booths, which is something I came up with because people get funny and they have a lot of, they make funny faces in the booth. I find that train of thought here. I find that when that booth is out making me money and I have my crew working it, I don't have to worry about a lot. And my margin on the end of it makes it worth staying home. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, for sure. And that's obviously a very important thing for those of us who are over, have significant others and such.
Yeah. I do have a free tip.
Oh,
that's a little late for everybody. You asked about a marketing idea.
Yeah.
And I'm racking my brain and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you guys this one because honestly, this is something we started to do this year. We're a full service company. So I have to put that out there. First of all, we don't just do DJ and we don't just do photo booth. We do game shows. One of the things we do with our kids entertainment is it's put us in a position to have a relationship with the North Pole. and to be able to have people contact us to have Santa visits come to their holiday party or to their home.
Okay.
One of the things we added this year was a package called Selfies with Santa. And I did this for 2 clients because they wanted a photo booth, but I'd remembered from last year, the photo booth was so busy with Santa being in it, and it was crammed in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did this year is we did a package where you had a 2-hour appearance with Santa, and you had the roaming photo booth going with, and you had a selfie with Santa. And it was a package we put together, and we actually used the green screen effect and put a North Pole background in the picture that's going to show up on their phone or in their email.
Nice.
And we were able to book it. It did really well for us on the 2 that we booked, and that's something we're going to be adding more to next year. With Santas, though, it gets a little tricky, so I'm just going to throw a couple of quick tips, and if anybody wants more information, John, you can steer them my way. If they're going to be at PBX, you all know, if you're a DJ, you all know I can be bought for a cup of coffee this year. It's a cup of coffee and a water because that's what I'm on. With your Santas, though, get a background check done. That's the big thing. But the other thing is audition your Santa Claus to make sure that they're actually going to go out and be an authentic Santa as opposed to a guy in a Santa suit.
Sure.
It really does. It's that experience thing. But that's one of the things we added this year that worked really well for us, just on 2 events, just because we knew the space was going to be tight. And one of the places, believe it or not, was in the basement of the building with no elevators. So we were really pushing this client, take the roaming. Take the roamer and the selfies with Santa, please, because we don't want to have to haul everything down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, for sure. We've all been there, done that, and that's never
not fun.
Not fun at all. So, Rob, our time tonight is pretty much up. If people would like to reach out to you, with any questions or anything beyond seeing you at Photo Booth Expo, which is coming up here February 24th through the 27th. By the way, in the description of this video is a link to go to buy your passes and a discount code. The price is going up.
Passes.
Yeah, the price is going up here in about 48 hours here. No, not even that. Tomorrow night.
Yikes, right?
Goodness, a little over 24 hours.
Happy New Year, John.
Yeah, don't mind me.
If people want to get in touch with me, a couple of different ways. 781-848-4235, extension 700. That's my super secret, not so much secret anymore, direct extension at Rob Peters Entertainment. Or you can email me really simple, rob@robpetersentertainment.com. That's all one word, no hyphens, no spaces.
Sounds great. Sounds great, Rob. Thank you much for your time tonight. And thank you guys for being with us this evening. For those of you who are on the DJ side, at the top of the hour, we're going to be going through the Billboard Top 100 for 2019 and kind of looking at which songs may have some staying power for us as mobile entertainers. And we'll be doing that at 10 o'clock Eastern here in about a half an hour. Rob, one more time, thank you much for being on, and I look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas.
We'll see you in Las Vegas, John. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. Good.